got to come back in here again after that big upset last night. I've been on here looking at a lot of comments, a lot of fans coming here, losing the noodle, wetting their diapers. Even some of my closest friends are already talking about they don't want to watch any more football this season because Alabama got beat by Vanderbilt for the first time in almost 39 years, almost 40 years, right? But what I really want to touch on is all the blame game that's being thrown around. First of all, just get this out of the way. I hate to sound, cliche, but this was a team effort to lose this game. A team effort to lose this game. Let's go ahead and get that out of the way. But I've seen the defense being blamed because they couldn't stop the run, and they give up 40 points, which is true. The defense is to blame some. And then I see people blaming Jalen DeBoer. But there's one guy that nobody's mentioning because of, they're all up been all up his ass ever since he done his little cringy ass roll tide at the end of games. Old Jalen Milroe. I like Jalen Milroe. Got a very infectious smile. Love his smile. But the giggly ass schoolgirl shit throughout the week when he done a few interviews, that's crazy. It just rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. And now he's put out a tweet today that it said the right things at first, but at the end, it really said it all for me as far as where the minds of these athletes are today. So, and he had two extremely costly turnovers. One was a pick six, might not have been his fault so much because it was tipped, but there towards the end of the game, he got hit from the blind side and fumbled the ball. He didn't even feel the guy coming. In a leadership role like that at the end of the game, you should be able to feel that coming, in my opinion. Although none of us are perfect, but he did have two turnovers that led directly to us losing that game. So to try to blame the defense and Jalen DeBoer and not give him any blame whatsoever really has me scratching my head a little bit, my Alabama fans. And another thing I noticed is during the second quarter yesterday when we were down 23-7, he's over there hee-hawing it up and laughing and cutting up and shaking hands with people like we're up 23-7. Let me bring up the little comment that Jalen Milroe that's led me to do this live stream at such a weird time. I usually don't do live streams at this time of the day, but I had to get this out there. Let me bring this up real quick. My buddy Ray Patton, by the way, lifelong friend of mine, he's the one that sent me this, so I'll make sure I give him credit for that. And there it is, right there. Jalen Milroe on Twitter says they'll say you slayed Goliath, but tripped on the pebble that killed him with. Well, guess what? One win doesn't entitle us to the next. No excuses, no handouts, no heartbreak, only humility and hard work, because humility is always 1 week away. No matter how good we are, no matter how good we were 100 years, no matter how good we will become the next 100, the only thing that will get you there is embracing and attacking each moment with discipline and fervor. The Tide has lost before and achieved much more. We're still here. It takes hunger to become the hunter. It takes hunger to become the hunter and famine to become the forager. First, we must earn, and only then do we have permission to eat. Roll Tide. As Proverbs 11:2 says, when pride comes, then comes disgrace, but with humility comes wisdom. Bama forever, not just when we win. Here's what got me. Here's the kicker at the very end, man. This sort of rubs me the wrong way and pisses me off a little bit. Show your loyalty to the Tide and grab your Bama forever hoodie while they last. Now, if you don't know, the Bama forever hoodies is it's something that Jalen Milroe sells for himself, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken on that. Someone else might get some royalties off of it besides Jalen Milroe. But at the very end of this, after you said all of that, you even had a religious moment there, which I don't mind people putting Bible verses and stuff and talking about Bible verses, because I do sometimes. But don't end it on that kind of note where you're asking for people to go out and buy your merchandise right after you make some kind of religious statement It's just not a good look. It sort of gives you that vibe of the TV evangelist, Saturday night drunk, Sunday morning preacher kind of deal. That right there, that tweet right there really sums it up for me and where all these athletes' heads are these days. He says all that good stuff, all the Mary Poppins stuff that you want to hear from the crimson colored glasses out there. And then at the end, he ends it with, hey, buy my merchandise. Give me some money. Just not a good look. Not a good look at all, in my opinion. What do y'all think about all that? Trojan fight. We won't have to hear another word about Milroe for Heisman. Cheers for that. I tell you what, we won't have to hear another word about USC's going to the playoffs either. How about that? How about that there, Skittle Shitter? Didn't y'all lose to Minnesota last night? Y'all the last mugs that need to be coming here saying anything. USC, Tennessee, Georgia, all y'all don't need to be coming here saying shit. You're like, well, Georgia won. Yeah, though Georgia did win. But they didn't beat Alabama. And they lost to the team, that being Alabama. They lost to the team that lost to Vanderbilt. And by the way, Vanderbilt lost to Georgia State. So, like I said last night, I guess if we're going by y'all's logic, I guess Georgia State's the best team in that state, right? Right guy 1218 says, I won't have to hear anything from USC fans saying y'all running the Big Ten. Now they ain't gonna run the Big Ten. They can't win a road game in the Big Ten, right, guy? That's USC's problem. The last person that should be in here today is a Trojan fan talking that smack. And if you're gonna come in here and say, "Hey, man, it happened to us too. Let's talk some college football," I ain't have no issue with that, man. But don't come in here being a hypocrite and pretending like nothing bad happened to your team yesterday. Minnesota, honestly, is probably a worse team than Vanderbilt. They were 2-3 coming into that game. Vanderbilt was 2-2, now 3-2. Vanderbilt has a winning record. Your team that beat you's got a 500 record. Again, with the economics of self-promotion, clown face 3 times over from Robert Walger. I absolutely agree. That's what I'm talking about, man. That tweet that I just had up with Jalen Milroe, as y'all saw, he's at the end. He's talking all this stuff, saying all the things he's supposed to say politically, like a politician. And then at the end, just like a politician, he's asking for money, just like a TV evangelist, Saturday night drunk, Sunday morning preacher, asking for money, asking for me, buy my hoodie, man, buy my hoodie. Even though in the second quarter, he's supposed to be the leader of this team, in the second quarter, up 23-7, he's not got them all around him and trying to get them fired up. He's over there just being giggly, shaking hands like a schoolgirl. I don't have a second or third team really, but I do have a few teams that I do like outside of my team, as I'm sure you do too, Trojan. If you say you don't, then you are a liar. I'm sure that there's a team out there that if you weren't a USC fan, that they would be your next team in line. If you say that there's not, once again, you're a liar. Justin Perez in the house. Clemson won last night, the 4th win in a row. We're 4-1. Clemson looks like they've righted the ship just a little bit. I will say that. I'm glad to see that for Dabo Swinney. He is a graduate of Alabama. Now, he does do some cheesy-ass shit sometimes that rubs me the wrong way. But I'm glad to see Dabo's righted the ship, and he's basically stood his ground on certain issues that a lot of people find unpopular. So you got to give it to him on that, man. He has stood his ground on a lot of these issues. I think Alabama forgot that y'all's win over UGA was a regular season game. Bama treated last week's game like the national championship, says the Bandit. In my live stream last night, I sort of alluded to that. That's exactly right. Georgia has sort of become Alabama's biggest rival. You know, it used to be LSU. You'd see Alabama and LSU fighting for a spot in the SEC title game and maybe even national championship. Even played LSU in the national championship game. And then it sort of went to Georgia. Now, Auburn's always been a rival of ours and always will be. But Auburn's they're just off and on, man. You never know what you're going to get with Auburn. You wishy-washy as hell down there. But Georgia has become Alabama's chief rival, really, their biggest competition. And I think you're right, man. They thought, well, we beat Georgia, man. That's it, man. We got it. We can put this shit on cruise control and cruise on. I mean, evidenced by the fact that, once again, Jalen Milroe in the second quarter down 23-7, he's over laughing up, giggling, and shaking hands with whatever NIL guy that's selling his Bama hoodie. Bama forever. Go buy my Bama forever hoodie right now. Show some loyalty, man. Give me some money for losing. No. You just said you had to earn that. In the tweet yourself, you said the word earn a couple times. You didn't earn your money yesterday, brother. So you're not going to get no Bama forever hoodie purchases. And the ones that do purchase it, they're just, like I said, they're them Mary Poppins fans that can't take any criticism. We all have them in our fan base. Oklahoma, LSU, USC, Clemson. Y'all got this segment of the fan base, and hell, y'all may be one of them that do not want anybody to say anything critical about your team. And if it's someone that's a fellow fan of your team, you call them a sellout or say they're not a real fan because they're actually able to come in there and be unbiased and criticize your team because you need criticism in order to be a successful program and to be a successful person in general. You got to be able to take criticism. Duck Knight says he always roots for Wazoo, Utah, and Arizona. See, exactly. I mean, everybody's got a favorite team, and then they got teams on the side that they're like, oh, man, I'd like to see them win. If you say that you don't, once again, that's just a bald-faced liar. I think he done dipped out on us, man. He couldn't take the grill. Justin Perez says, we Southern boys always stand the ground when we believe something. Dabo has stood his ground. He has. Now, there are some stuff that he probably needs to probably relent on in his ground. Like, maybe acquiescing to some transfer portal stuff. Sooner or later, we're going to have some rules on that, I do believe. They can't just continue being the Wild Wild West. Teams quitting in the middle, players quitting in the middle of the year, like the UNLV player did. And Bear Alexander quit on USC, too, by the way. That shit's going to have to stop. They're going to have to make these young men. They're not kids. Once again, that's one of my pet peeves. They're not kids. They're young men. You can serve in a war and kill people and vote for the United States of America. You are a man. And if they're going to come in here and want to be paid adult money, then they're going to have to go by adult rules. They're going to have to put a contract on these boys. Plain and simple. They're going to have to make them start signing contracts. Hello, Posse. Checking in from my work shift. What a crazy weekend. Yeah. In 1989, he's our Michigan guy up in here. He had the upset bug bite him as well. Michigan now has 2 losses. We all knew it was coming eventually. Even the Michigan fans know this is not a vintage Michigan team. This is not the team that won the national championship last year. Nowhere near it. They probably lost more personnel and players than any team in the nation. So really to expect Sharon Moore, even though I don't like the hire, to be fair to Sharon, he needs to be allowed a little time to recover from the big old cluster that Jim Harbaugh left. He left a big old stanky cluster for Sharon Moore to clean up. Jim and Tammy Faye Baker, pass the collection plate, please. Yeah, you remember that, man? We had back in our day, man. We had a bunch of TV evangelists, man. They were just ripping people off left and right. It was the thing to do. You had Golly, man, I can't even speak. Jim and Tammy Faye Baker ripping people off. Then you had Jimmy Swaggart and Robert Tilton and who's that other guy's name? He looks crazy as hell. Kenneth Copeland. Them dudes, man, they some evil cats. Say what you want about Kirby Smart, but yesterday proves that when Kirby Smart talks about how hard it is to win on the road, it's not just him doing coach speech or making excuses. That's true. That's true, says the bandit. Tatted Sailor's in the house. He has his badge. He's deputized. If you want to get your badge and get deputized like Tatted Sailor and be a random Four Horseman shout out on the actual podcast, as well as possibly the comment of the day, it's not $2.99 a month, 75 cents a week. Just a half a bottle of water for that long. You'll get your badge. You'll be deputized, and you'll be in the outlaw posse just like Tatted Sailor. Tatted Sailor says, can we mention the cluster that may happen with Navy and Army possibly having to play each other twice back to back at the end of the season? Are they in the same conference now? I thought one of them was independent. I can't keep up with all these conference changes these days. Is Amy, I really can't speak today. Is Army and Navy actually in the same conference now? Because that actually would be awesome if they would just play each other in that Army-Navy game. And the winner of that actually get to be the G5 representative, man. That'd be awesome to see a team like maybe Alabama play Navy or Army. We have played Army before one time, but we've never played the Navy. Ryan Kirk says the SEC championship should be interesting this year. Yeah, it might have two teams and there were 2 losses, maybe even 3 losses. I think there's going to be a lot of upsets this year, not just because my team got beat, but even before Alabama got beat. You got Northern Illinois beating Notre Dame and then turn around and lose 2 games. That's probably what Vanderbilt's going to do. They're probably going to beat Alabama, and the next week they're probably going to lose to Kentucky. And by the way, Kentucky upset Ole Miss. And Ole Miss went on the road and beat the shit out of South Carolina. You just can't figure it, man. If I was a betting man, and I'm not, if I was a person that liked to bet on games this year, I would be really pissed because there's no rhyme or reason this year. I mean, it's hard to bet on anything. Wish we had Johnny Johnson here right now. He's a big betting guru, and maybe he could tell us the rhyme and reason because there is none to me. By the way, if y'all want to get your comment pushed to the top and get me to read it out and for me to answer your question directly, there's a little money $sign at the bottom. You can click on that, write your comment out, then hit send. Make sure you don't hit it twice before you put your comment in, or you won't get your money's worth. Army and Navy are in the American together. Okay. Did not know that. Thought one of them was independent at one time. The bandit says, I wonder how much the NIL and transfer portal is affecting the way teams like UGA and Bama play against lesser competition. It's here, man. Parity's here. It looks like parity is amongst us. I think Texas A&M might be the front runner for the SEC championship. It might be. It might just be. DJ, I'm not going to say his last name, Jackass. DJ Jackass broke his fingers and chickened out of last night's game against my Clemson Tigers. DJ he didn't play against Clemson, I think. I didn't even think about that, Justin. You just brought up something pretty cool. I think that he didn't want to play because it was his former team. I think he did not want to play against his former team and lose to Clemson after how he had to exit Clemson. And you're right, he does need his college days ended. The biggest takeaway from this weekend is just how difficult the regular season play is now. Survive and advance. Exactly. It's like Oklahoma fans were losing their noodle earlier in the year when they barely beat Houston. And so today Houston beat TCU. And so you just never know what you're going to get from week to week. So don't fret when your team struggles and barely beats these teams. At least you're not losing. Some of us are losing, some of us ain't right now. But I'm just saying, like 1989 M says, survive and advance. It's survive and advance. Just like the Royal Rumble in wrestling. But I just wanted to bring that in here to y'all and see what y'all thought about Jalen Milroe's little tweet where he was saying all the great politically correct things and happy-go-lucky. Let's not get down, guys. Let's lift ourselves up. And then at the end, he basically says, hey, show some loyalty, buy my hoodie, give me some money. After all that goodwill and that nice little tweet, he ends it with a big old stinker. Smell like a freshly opened bag of pork skins. And if y'all know what that smells like, it smells like a straight up fart. And that's what he had on that last little line, is a good old Jalen Milroe brain fart. And with that, I'm going to get up out of here. If you don't mind, this thing will go to podcast. It will go to a podcast after the show. It'll upload as a podcast. Get on there, like, share, comment on there as well. Share it out to your friends. Share it out to any of your friends, any fan base. We talk about all fan bases in here. We're almost to 5,000 subscribers. It's a big milestone. It helped me out a lot. KMCA to all the other teams. Class is now officially dismissed.